the whisper of oranges. In the verdant gardens of Thornwood Manor, where the air hung heavy with the perfume of orange blossoms, Eleanor Whitmore sat beneath the boughs of an ancient citrus tree. It was the summer of 1873, and the world beyond the estate's stone walls buzzed with the clamor of industrialization, but here, time seemed to pause, cradled by the rustle of leaves and the distant hum of bees. Eleanor, 23 and unmarried, wore a gown of soft muslin, its delicate cream folds catching the late afternoon light. A single orange blossom, pinned to her bodice, trembled with each breath, a silent tribute to the garden's quiet beauty. In her lap rested a leather-bound volume, its pages yellowed and worn, the edges softened by countless readings. It was a copy of Villette by Charlotte Brontë, a novel she had discovered in her father's library 2 years prior, its story of Lucy Snowe's solitary journey resonating deeply with her own sequestered existence. As she traced the words with her finger, her hazel eyes flickered with a mixture of longing and defiance. Lucy's escape to the fictional city of Villette, her quiet battles against constraint, mirrored Eleanor's own yearning to break free from the suffocating expectations of her family and society. Thornwood Manor, a sprawling estate in the rolling hills of Gloucestershire, was a place of both refuge and confinement. Her father, Lord Reginald Whitmore, was a stern man, his fortune built on coal mines and railways, his heart hardened by the loss of Eleanor's mother a decade earlier. He saw Eleanor as a prize to be polished and presented, her delicate beauty and gentle demeanor destined for a strategic marriage, not for the whimsical pursuits of literature or independence. Her elder brother, Charles, shared their father's pragmatism, but Eleanor suspected he, too, harbored dreams beyond the ledger books, though he buried them beneath his impeccable suits and polite smiles. Today, the garden was her sanctuary. The stone bench, warmed by the sun, felt like an anchor as she read, her fingers brushing the petals of the blossom pinned to her dress, a secret gift from her childhood friend, Thomas Harrow, the gardener's son. Thomas, now 25, had grown into a quiet, thoughtful man, his hands calloused from tending the estate's grounds, but his mind sharp with the poetry he whispered to her in stolen moments. He had left the orange blossom on her windowsill that morning, a silent message amidst the bustle of preparations for the upcoming ball, where Lord Whitmore intended to parade Eleanor before suitors from London. Eleanor's thoughts drifted as she read. Lucy Snowe's struggles in Villette, her loneliness, her quiet rebellion, stirred a fire in her chest. She imagined herself boarding a train to Paris, leaving behind the whispers of the drawing room and the weight of her father's expectations. But reality tethered her here, to the garden's fragrant embrace and the unspoken promises tied to the orange blossom. A rustle in the foliage broke her reverie. Thomas emerged, his cap in hand, his brown eyes warm with a mixture of affection and caution. "Miss Eleanor," he said softly, his voice carrying the lilt of the countryside, "I didn't mean to disturb you. I saw you from the orchard and thought—" "Well, I thought you might need company." She smiled, closing the book gently. "You never disturb me, Thomas, but we must be careful. Father's guests arrive tomorrow, and he's watching me like a hawk." He nodded, stepping closer but keeping a respectful distance. "I know. That's why I brought this." From his pocket, he pulled a folded sheet of paper, its edges smudged with soil. "It's a poem I wrote last night, about the oranges, and you, and this place." I thought, perhaps it might give you courage. Eleanor's heart quickened as she unfolded the paper, her eyes scanning the neat, careful script. "Beneath the boughs where oranges glow, the heart finds peace it dares not show. Yet in your gaze, a fire burns bright, a path to freedom, out of sight." Tears pricked her eyes, not from sorrow, but from the weight of possibility. "Thomas," she whispered, "if only we could leave this place together." He swallowed, his gaze steady. "We could, Ellie. I've saved enough from the wages Father pays me. We could go north to Liverpool or even across the sea. But I won't ask you to risk everything unless you're certain." The garden seemed to hold its breath, the oranges gleaming like silent witnesses. Eleanor thought of Villette, of Lucy's courage in the face of despair, and of the life she might claim if she dared. The ball loomed ahead, a gilded cage of suitors and expectations, but here, in this moment, she held a choice. "I'm certain," she said at last, her voice firm, "but we must plan carefully. Tomorrow, after the ball, meet me here at midnight. We'll take the carriage and leave under cover of darkness." Thomas's face broke into a rare, radiant smile. "Midnight, then. I'll be ready." As he slipped back into the shadows of the orchard, Eleanor reopened Villette, her heart racing with a new resolve. The garden, with its oranges and blossoms, became a symbol of her rebellion, a quiet, fragrant revolution against the life she had been born into. She read on, the words of Charlotte Brontë guiding her toward a future where she might, at last, find her own Villette.